It started with a sound. Not a scream, not a whisper, not even a word. Just the metallic click of a phone being locked a half-second too late. That was all. But it was enough to knock the first domino down. She was in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, staring too hard at her screen. I walked in from the garage, said her name. No answer. Then the click. Then the sharp turn of her body, too fast, too calculated, like someone hitting pause on a movie mid-scene. She smiled, but her face didn't match it. That's what caught me. That flicker, like she was switching masks. We'd just gotten back from my job interview in Dallas. A big step up, executive level. She hadn't said much during the trip. Kept watching videos with her earbuds in, eyes glazed over like none of this mattered. I thought maybe she was nervous for me. I thought maybe she was just tired. I was wrong. So wrong it makes my stomach turn to even write it out now. She tucked her phone under a napkin on the counter like it was nothing, like I wouldn't see. I didn't say anything. Just stared at the napkin like it was ticking. Something in my chest tightened, not from suspicion, not yet. More like a sense that a page had just turned without me noticing. The next day, she started doing laundry. Not weird in itself, except she never does laundry on a Monday morning. She was sorting a load of gym clothes. Hers and someone else's. I picked up a black shirt, not mine. Men's size. I don't own anything like it. Still smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. I asked her where it came from. She said, must be yours from forever ago, and snatched it back before I could inspect it. But it wasn't old. It was freshly worn. Damp warm, like it had just come from someone else's house. I watched her shove it deep into the basket like it hadn't happened. Still, I let it slide. Until 2 days later, my brother showed up unannounced. He never visits. He's the type who lives in his own orbit, floats through life with that smug, untouchable calm that drives people like me insane. But there he was, standing in my doorway asking if I had a wrench he could borrow. A wrench. Like he'd ever fixed anything in his life. My wife came down the stairs at that exact moment. She froze when she saw him. And he didn't say anything. Didn't nod. Didn't smile. Just looked at her like something unspoken had snapped between them. She tried to cover it with small talk. Asked if he was still going to that boxing class. Boxing class? He blinked. Yeah. Every Tuesday. That was when I saw it. Her pupils shifted just a little. Like she'd remembered something she shouldn't have said out loud. He left in less than 5 minutes. I stood at the window watching him walk to his car. My mind was spinning faster than I could think. Why was she doing laundry on Monday? Why did she know his workout schedule? Why was there a man's shirt in our laundry? But the most damning thing? He drove away with a gym bag in his trunk. Same one I saw in the laundry room on Monday. And that was the first moment I knew. Not suspected. Knew. But I didn't confront her yet. I needed proof. Something more than a glance, more than a wrong shirt and a story that didn't fit. Something undeniable. Because the moment I opened that door, really opened it, nothing would be the same. And I wasn't ready to watch the world I built with her burn just yet. But the match had already been struck. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear. Because of fury. A strange, quiet kind of fury that builds behind the eyes, presses on the skull, keeps you staring at the ceiling with your fists clenched under the blanket. She was asleep beside me, breathing slow, shallow, peaceful. I counted every breath. I imagined if she'd ever breathed like that next to him. My brother. I waited until she left for her volunteer shift at the animal shelter the next morning, something I never questioned before. But now everything was in question. I sat in the living room, lights off, phone in my hand, heart hammering in a rhythm that made no sense. My palms were sweating. Not because I was nervous. Because I was about to go hunting. She had left her laptop open. No password. She never expected I'd look. She believed I was predictable, that I still trusted her enough to not even check. That was her first mistake. I didn't find messages, at least, not at first. What I found were calendar entries. Private ones marked with stupid, meaningless titles like Deep Stretch Class or Don't Forget Protein Bar. All recurring, all on the same days Ryan was supposedly boxing. So I went deeper. Photos. Not obvious ones. No selfies. She wasn't that careless. But I found one taken from the passenger seat of a car, his car. I recognized the little crack in the dashboard from when he backed into our mailbox years ago. The photo was of her own hand holding an iced coffee. Innocent. But not when you know where it's taken from. Then I checked the browser history. She had deleted most of it. But she missed one. A search for early pregnancy signs. My breath caught. Pregnancy. I didn't even know we were trying. Because we weren't. I sat there for a long time. Not moving. The house was too quiet. I could hear the ticking of the hallway clock, the occasional car outside, even the hum of the refrigerator. But I couldn't hear my own thoughts. Then my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Talked to Ryan today. He said you've been moody. Everything okay with work? Moody? I hadn't spoken to my brother in 2 weeks. And now he's briefing the family on my mental state? I called her. I didn't wait for her to come home. I couldn't. She answered like nothing was wrong. Cheerful. Perky. Like she wasn't carrying secrets in her stomach and my brother in her phone. Hey babe, she said, chipper. Need anything? I'm grabbing lunch on the way back. I kept my voice flat. Where are you right now? She hesitated. A beat too long. At the shelter. Why? No, you're not. Silence. I could hear the ear shift. Like she just realized the chessboard had flipped and she was playing defense now. What are you talking about? She said, laughing. That fake laugh. The one she used when she didn't have an answer ready. You're not at the shelter. And you're not alone. So I'll ask again. Where are you? Click. She hung up. That was her second mistake. She came home an hour later. No lunch in hand. No explanation. No apology. But her expression? It was like walking into a room after someone tried to clean up a mess in a hurry and failed. She looked straight at me and said, you're being paranoid. You've been acting weird for weeks. You're just stressed from the promotion stuff. That was the moment I lost it. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just opened my laptop and turned the screen toward her, the photo of her hand, the car interior, the calendar entries. She froze. Just stood there, staring at the screen like it might erase itself. Then, slowly, like a mask sliding off, she exhaled and said one word, fine. Not I'm sorry. Not I can explain. Just fine. And she sat down, crossed her legs, and looked me dead in the eye. No shame. No panic. I didn't plan it, she said. But it happened. And you know what? It felt good. For once, I didn't have to be married to a spreadsheet in human form. I didn't breathe. You think being with you is easy? She said. You're boring. You talk about logistics like they're love letters. He listens. He touches me like I matter. You organize things. She didn't even blink. Like I was some failed project she was returning to the store. And when I asked her if the baby was his, because now I had to ask, she just smiled. Didn't answer. Didn't deny it. Just smiled. And right then, I knew I'd never look at her the same way again. She went to the guest room after that. No tears. No explanations. Just walked out of the living room like she was done clocking out of her shift. I sat there staring at the back of her head as she disappeared down the hallway. The same hallway we used to laugh in, fight in, kiss in. Now it felt like a crime scene. I didn't sleep again that night. The bed felt like it belonged to strangers. Everything did. Her perfume on the pillow. Her charger plugged in beside mine. Her slippers by the bathroom door. All of it turned my stomach. I needed air. At 4 a.m., I drove to my parents' house. I didn't even knock. I had a key. They never changed the locks. Inside, everything was too familiar. Family portraits, dusty candles, the old leather couch we grew up jumping on. I sat down in Dad's armchair and stared at the dark TV screen like it might explain something. An hour later, the lights came on. Ryan walked in. He froze when he saw me. His hair was wet. Towel around his neck. Morning jog? Late-night guilt shower? He didn't speak. I stood up. Is it yours? I asked. He looked confused like he was playing dumb. Or maybe hoping I'd ask something else. Don't do that, I said. Don't pretend. Just answer me. He dropped the towel, looked away, then said quietly it wasn't supposed to be like this. My hands shook. Not from rage. From disbelief. This man, my own brother, the one who stood beside me at my wedding, toasted to our future, said blood is everything, had been sneaking around with my wife like I was some blind idiot sitting in the dark. Is it yours? I asked again, louder. He sat down, rubbed his face. We don't know yet. Those words hit me harder than anything. We don't know yet. Like they were waiting. Like they were hoping. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was insane. My life was now a bad soap opera written by people who hated me. You didn't even have the decency to protect me from this, I said. You knew what she was. You still went back to her. She came to me, he snapped. You think I planned this? She said you were cold, distant, miserable. I believed her. I stared at him. You believed her? He nodded. She's manipulative. But she made me feel. Don't, I interrupted. Don't tell me about your feelings. You don't get that right. I left. Didn't slam the door. Didn't throw punches. That would have been too easy for him. No. I wanted him to live in the silence I left behind. But the worst part? When I walked out, I saw my mother in the hallway. She was standing there, arms crossed, lips tight. She didn't look shocked. She looked prepared. Please don't make this a family war, she said softly. That broke me more than anything else. They knew. Maybe not all the details. Maybe not the whole truth. But they knew something was off. And instead of confronting it, they did what they always did, protected Ryan. The golden one. The favorite. I was the casualty they were willing to accept. When I got home, she was in the kitchen. Making tea. Humming. She looked up. You left early. I didn't speak. She placed the tea bag in the cup, stirred gently, and said, we should probably talk about the divorce. Just like that. Like ordering takeout. No remorse. No shame. Just, we should probably. I didn't answer. I walked past her. I couldn't trust myself to speak without losing everything. But inside, I knew one thing with perfect clarity: they both deserved each other. And I was about to make them regret every second of it. 2 days after that kitchen scene, I filed the papers. I didn't tell her. I went to the courthouse alone, eyes dry, voice steady, hands calm. I handed over the documents like I was ordering a sandwich. I'd rehearsed the moment so many times in my head that when it came, it felt mechanical. Like pulling a fire alarm when you already smell the smoke. That night, she was lounging on the couch, scrolling her phone like the world hadn't cracked in half. She was watching videos, laughing, actually laughing, like nothing in her life had burned down. I'm filing, I said. No lead-in, no sugar. She didn't even flinch, just paused the video, looked up at me and said, okay, that's all. Not a tear, not a fight, not a question, just, okay. Then she added, let me know if I need to sign anything. That was her entire reaction to the end of a 7-year marriage. No anger, no sadness, just cold logistics. But what happened next? That was something I wasn't prepared for. 3 days later, I got a call from my father. Not to check on me, not to ask if I was okay. No. He called to ask if I'd consider waiting before going through with the divorce. For the family's sake. I laughed. It came out harsh and bitter. For the family's sake? He didn't even hesitate. Your mother's been having trouble sleeping. Your brother's a wreck. And your wife, she's not my wife. She's still part of this family, he snapped. Whether you like it or not. That was the moment I realized something sickening. They weren't just taking her side. They were closing ranks. Protecting her like she was one of their own. I asked, what did she tell you? He paused. She said things were dying between you two. That she tried. That you were always distant. There it was again. That same word Ryan used. Distant. Like they rehearsed it. Like they agreed on the script. You believe her? I asked. I believe something happened, he said. And maybe it's not as black and white as you think. I ended the call. But the real betrayal came the next morning. I opened my email. There, in bold letters, a forwarded message from HR. Subject: Internal Opportunity Senior Director, West Coast Division, the promotion. The one I just got offered. The one I hadn't told anyone about yet. Attached was a letter from Ryan. He had submitted his own application for the role. Somehow he knew about it. Somehow he had my internal documents. I called my supervisor immediately. Did someone leak my file? Silence. Then, your brother reached out with a very detailed proposal. He said he was helping you organize your strategy. He made it sound like a joint pitch. I nearly dropped the phone. He'd stolen my shot, my idea, my plan, my presentation, my future. He didn't just sleep with my wife. He came for my career. I called him. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Voicemail. Then, a message popped up. Ryan, it's just business. Let's not make it personal. Just business. After everything, my marriage, my trust, my family, now my promotion, and he wanted to keep it clean. I paced for over an hour. My hands were shaking. Not out of weakness, but from the weight of everything pressing down at once. They were not going to stop. They didn't just want my wife. They didn't just want to rewrite the narrative. They wanted my silence, my compliance, my resources, my future. And that's when I decided no more playing nice. No more protecting people who thought they could erase me from my own life. I was going to answer them in a language they finally understood. Control, power, exposure. And I had something none of them expected, proof. I waited a full week. No messages from her. Not even about the divorce. No word from Ryan. My parents pretended nothing was wrong. I got a text from my mother asking if I could help with the family barbecue next month, like we weren't sitting on a volcano. I spent those days collecting, watching, planning. I didn't scream. I didn't post online. I didn't call friends to vent. Instead, I went digital. You see, there's something people like them forget when someone's always been the quiet one, the boring one, the planner, the one who doesn't talk much. They also tend to be the one who sees everything. Emails, backups, shared cloud drives, old text message archives, location history from synced accounts she didn't realize were still linked to my profile. I even pulled photos from devices she forgot she'd once signed into. She thought she was careful. She wasn't. There it was, a log of her car parked at Ryan's building. A pattern, twice a week, sometimes 3. Middle of the day. Right after her volunteer shifts. I had screenshots. I had timestamps. I had photos, not graphic, nothing illegal, but enough to draw a map of betrayal with pins and strings. But I wasn't going to the court just yet. No. I had a better plan. I sent a message. Short. Clean. To my wife, let's meet. One last talk. She replied within 10 minutes. Finally. We met at a neutral place, a quiet cafe near the lake. She arrived early, as always. She was dressed like she was auditioning for Sympathy, soft sweater, no makeup, hair tied back like she was suddenly down to earth and pure again. She started with, I think we both made mistakes. I let her speak. I watched her craft the narrative the same way I'd watched her lie to my face for months. She painted a picture where I was absent, cold, more focused on career than connection. I didn't interrupt once. I just kept looking at her, taking her in, memorizing the way she twisted guilt into something she could wear comfortably. Then I pulled out the folder. Printed pages. Dates. Logs. A few screenshots. Just enough. Her face changed. Instantly. That soft, calm expression cracked. Her eyes darted. Her fingers twitched. She reached for the papers like she could still control it. I pulled them back. Let me explain, she said. No, I answered. Let me. I told her what I knew. Not just about the affair. About the pregnancy she hadn't confirmed. About the job Ryan tried to steal. About my parents and their pathetic attempts to keep the family together. I laid it all out in 10 minutes. Cold. Precise. She said nothing. She just sat there, the lies still fresh on her tongue, unsure if they were even worth saying anymore. Then I told her the part she didn't see coming. I've already met with a lawyer, I said. The agreement's ready. You'll get what's fair. Nothing more. I'm filing fault-based. Adultery. With documented evidence. She opened her mouth to beg? To argue? Doesn't matter. I kept going. And if either of you push back, I go public. I'm done protecting reputations. If you want to play quiet, we keep this clean. But if he or your lawyer so much as breathes sideways, I will let the truth out. Every piece of it. She looked stunned. Not because of the threat, but because I was finally fighting like she never thought I could. The checkmate wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. She blinked hard, then said, So this is revenge? I leaned in slightly, smiled without warmth, and replied, No, this is balance. I stood up, left the folder, and walked out. And for the first time in months, I felt the weight shift. Not gone, but moving. The storm hadn't ended. But it was mine now. 3 days after that cafe meeting, the call started. Not from her. From my mother. 5 missed calls. Then a text. Mom, you need to stop this. Now, before it gets worse. Worse? She had no idea what worse even looked like yet. I didn't respond. I gave them silence. And silence makes the guilty squirm more than shouting ever could. By the end of the week, my father showed up at my house, unannounced, just like old times when he'd stop by with that judgmental smirk, asking why I didn't come around more often. He stood in my doorway like he owned the air in it, wearing that same damn sweater he wore to every family event, as if he were showing up to negotiate peace over Thanksgiving turkey. "We need to talk," he said. I stepped aside, let him in. He didn't sit. "I hear you're trying to drag Ryan through the mud," he said, voice sharp, like I was the one setting fires. "I'm not trying," I said. "I'm succeeding." His jaw tensed. He walked to the counter, picked up a photo frame. It was from years ago, me and Ryan at our college graduation. My mother had given it to me. I'd forgotten it was even there. "He's not the enemy," my father said quietly. I laughed. That dry, ugly kind of laugh that scrapes the back of your throat. "He slept with my wife." "He made a mistake," he replied. "But you're blowing this up. You're talking about lawsuits, airing private things private." I snapped. "They made a child behind my back. He stole my work and tried to bury me. And now you're here acting like I'm overreacting because I won't keep your little family secret." He didn't respond, just kept staring at the photo. That was always the problem. To them, Ryan was the family. I was the shadow, the backup, the spare. "Why are you really here?" I asked. He turned slowly, eyes hard. "You got the promotion, didn't you?" There it was. The real reason. Not to heal anything. Not to apologize. They wanted money. Or influence. Or both. Ryan hadn't gotten the job. My boss had called the night before to confirm. After everything he pulled, his little stunt backfired. His joint pitch had looked suspicious. Weak. Desperate. And I got the offer. 6 figures. High-tier benefits. The works. I hadn't told anyone. But now I knew she did. And she told them. So I smiled. And I lied. "No," I said. "They gave it to someone else." He blinked. "Really?" "Yeah. Guess all that boring spreadsheet energy finally caught up with me." He left 20 minutes later, face tight, silence heavy. But I knew what he was going to do the second he got in his car. Call Ryan. And tell him the coast was clear. Except it wasn't. Because the next day I got a notification. Bank account activity, $4,700 withdrawn. She had access. Stupidly, I'd left one joint account untouched. That's when I called my lawyer. Changed every password. Froze credit. Transferred every asset tied to my name into protected accounts. I moved faster than they ever expected. And then I did one more thing. I leaked it. Not to the public. Not yet. I sent a single, untraceable email to Ryan's current employer. No accusations. Just a polite, anonymous note. "Thought you'd want to know that your employee, Ryan, redacted, is currently under investigation for breaching confidential corporate materials from my company. Documents available upon request." I attached nothing. I didn't have to. The scent of scandal is sometimes more powerful than the proof itself. By Friday, I heard from a friend of a friend inside his office Ryan had been pulled into an emergency HR meeting. No suspension. Yet, but the clock had started ticking. And that's when I knew I'd stopped being the victim in their story. Now I was the consequence. A week later, I got a call from her. I didn't answer. She tried again. Then again. I waited, watching the screen light up again. I let the calls rot in silence. On the 5th try, she finally left a voicemail. Her voice was shaky. Not the confident, smug version I knew. It was the voice of someone trying to hold something together that had already split wide open. "We need to talk. It's important. It's not what you think." Those 5 words. The unofficial motto of every liar on earth. I didn't respond. She showed up the next morning. I watched her through the peephole. Hair pulled back, face pale, holding a manila envelope like it was some kind of shield. I opened the door, didn't say a word. She didn't smile. "I'm pregnant," she said. There it was. The nuke. I stood still. No reaction. Nothing on my face. And that scared her more than shouting ever could. "It's yours," she added quickly. That's when I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. "You think that's gonna work now?" I asked. "After everything?" She opened the envelope. Ultrasound photos. Lab results. Her name. A due date. I didn't even look at it. Why now? I asked. Why tell me this now? Her voice cracked. Because it's not his. He did the test. It's not Ryan's. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. And I'm supposed to believe that? She didn't answer. Because she knew the truth, it didn't matter whether it was mine or not. That trust was already dead. I let her sit on the couch. I didn't offer her water. She handed me the paper like it meant something, like ink on a page could stitch a dead thing back to life. I didn't plan for this, she said. I wasn't trying to trap you. But when I found out, I didn't know what to do. I thought it was his. We both did. And when it wasn't? She looked up. I realized what I threw away. I nodded slowly. Let her sit in that silence. Then I asked the only question that mattered to me. If it is mine, what exactly do you expect? She hesitated. I don't know. I just thought, maybe we could talk. Work something out. I stared at her. At the woman who had slept with my brother, stolen my peace, wrecked my name inside my own family. And now she wanted a seat back at the table. She wasn't asking for reconciliation. She was asking for rescue. You want a co-parent? I asked. A partner? Or a paycheck? She didn't answer. Because she didn't have one. I walked her to the door. Handed back the envelope. Told her my lawyer would be in touch. If she wanted a paternity test through the court, fine. If it came back mine, we'd do everything the legal way through the system, documented, structured, airtight. No backroom deals. No trust. No illusions. She walked out without looking back. But the damage wasn't done. Because 5 hours later, Ryan showed up. No warning. No knock. Just rage. He was standing in my driveway, face red, hands clenched, shaking with something ugly. You told her not to talk to me, he shouted. I walked out calmly. No, I said. She made the decision herself. Guess she figured out who you really are. She's carrying your kid and you're dragging my name through the mud? I didn't blink. You dragged yourself, Ryan. I just let go of the leash. He stepped closer. Too close. You think you've won? He growled. This isn't over. You think the family's gonna stay behind you after the circus? I smiled. Let's find out. I turned and walked inside. Locked the door. Left him there, yelling at the air like a man who just realized the game was no longer his to control. 2 weeks passed. 2 long, quiet weeks. I focused on work. I secured the new position. Relocated my personal assets. Set up future trusts. Updated beneficiaries. I cut off every joint thread still tying me to her, to them, to the idea of family. Then my sister called. We weren't close. Not really. She always kept to herself, smart enough to stay out of the storms but not brave enough to stop them. Still, I answered. Because if she was calling, something had shifted. You should come over, she said. Mom's not doing well. I almost laughed. Not out of cruelty, but because I saw the game before it started. That not doing well was the opening line to the oldest trick in the book, make the scapegoat feel guilt. Reel him back in with nostalgia and guilt until he forgets the knife in his back. I'm busy, I said. I have a life to repair, remember? It's not about them, she whispered. It's about you. You need to see what they've become. I hesitated. Just for a second. Then I went. When I pulled into my parents' driveway, it was like stepping into the past, except everything looked smaller. The house, the porch, the air. I used to think this place was indestructible. Turns out it was paper thin. Inside, I found them all. My mother, frail but sharp-eyed. My father, pacing. Ryan, silent in the corner. And her sitting beside him, hands folded over her stomach, trying to look soft. Pure. Reformed. I didn't say a word. My mother stood slowly. Walked over like she was moving through water. She reached for my arm. We've made mistakes, she said. All of us. I didn't flinch. Just looked her in the eye. I'm not here for forgiveness, I said. I'm here for clarity. My father jumped in. The baby changes everything. We're still a family. I shook my head. You disowned me the second you chose silence over truth. Ryan finally spoke. She doesn't want to keep it. The room froze. I stared at her. She looked down. Couldn't hold my gaze. I thought it would make things easier, she said, voice low. You don't want a co-parent. You won't even talk to me outside of legal terms. So, what's the point? My heart thudded once, hard. This wasn't a conversation. This was leverage. She was trying to corner me into caring again, into crawling back, begging, bargaining. She thought waving that unborn child like a white flag would drag me into guilt. I stepped forward. You're free to make whatever choice you want, but don't think for a second it'll be my leash. She looked up, startled. Ryan stood, fists clenched. You're a damn machine. No emotion. No compassion. I turned to him, slow and steady. You slept with my wife. Lied. Betrayed. Tried to take my career. And now you're angry I won't play family with you. He took a step closer. My father moved between us. Enough, he said. This is tearing us apart. No, I corrected. They already did that. I'm just refusing to pretend otherwise. My mother started crying. For real this time. Tears, shaking shoulders, the full breakdown. But I didn't move, because I realized something in that moment. This wasn't about a baby, or a family, or healing. This was about control. They couldn't stand that I had taken the wheel, that I wasn't begging, that I was winning. I'm leaving, I said. Don't contact me again unless it's through lawyers. I mean it. My sister followed me out. She didn't say anything until I got to my car. They're broken, she said. I looked at her. No, I said. They've always been broken. They just finally look like it. And I left. I didn't return to that house again. I changed my number, my email, my address. They had no more strings left to pull. I became untouchable, and they hated it. But the world didn't stop turning. While they scrambled to hold their little secrets and baby dramas together, I had work to do, real work. The promotion had come with relocation. West Coast. A clean slate. No shared history. No sideways glances from neighbors who didn't want to take sides but thought she was so sweet. I packed up in one weekend. Sold what I didn't want. Donated what I didn't need. Burned the rest metaphorically and maybe a little literally. And here's the twist no one expected. I used the fallout as fuel. I took everything I had, the pain, the betrayal, the ice-cold silence of people who claimed they loved me, and I built something out of it. Something permanent. By month 3, I launched my own consulting firm on the side. By month 5, I'd poached 2 of Ryan's clients, not on purpose, but because I was better, quieter, smarter. By month 6, I had received a message. An anonymous tip. Subject line, thought you should see this. Attached, a photo. Ryan. Alone at a bar. Drunk. Slumped. Talking too loud. Something about how she ruined everything and I gave up everything for nothing. The caption was brutal. Your brother's been spiraling. Looks like the golden boy cracked. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I cared, but because it confirmed what I already knew. He wasn't built to lose. He was built to glide. On charm, on luck, on the safety net of a family that never let him fall. And now? He was free-falling. She wasn't in the photo. She wasn't anywhere in his life anymore, from what I gathered. They hadn't lasted. Of course they hadn't. People bound together by betrayal always break. There's no glue in guilt, just rot. But I didn't reply to the tip. I didn't forward it. I didn't even save it. I deleted it. Because I didn't need proof anymore. They had already exposed themselves. Let them drown in their own quiet chaos. Meanwhile, I was setting up a trust fund. Not for her. Not for the baby, if there ever even was one. I still hadn't received any paternity confirmation, and at this point, I didn't care. No, this fund was for something else entirely. Something mine. A new home. A new city. A new chapter. I started mentoring younger professionals, people who reminded me of myself 10 years ago, full of potential and just waiting for someone to take them seriously. I gave them that shot. And one night, at a small private event, a woman approached me, not in that calculated, predatory way I'd learned to recognize. She asked about my firm. She challenged my ideas. She laughed at things I hadn't said to be funny but still were. It was real. I told her the bare truth. I was buried once. Dug myself out. And now I'm building something that doesn't need approval. She didn't ask for more. Didn't push. She just nodded like she understood. And that night I slept. Really slept. Not the broken, eyes half open kind of sleep I'd had for months. But peace. Because for the first time in over a year, I wasn't fighting anymore. I'd already won. It's been over a year now. A year since I found out my wife wasn't mine. A year since my brother turned out to be my shadow's thief. A year since my own family looked at me not as a son, a brother, a person, but as a problem to be managed, contained, blamed. I'm not angry anymore. That's the strangest part. There was a time I thought the rage would never leave, that it would be stitched into my bones, poisoning every step I took. But time has a way of stripping things down. What's left isn't peace, not exactly, but something sharper, cleaner, like truth, but forged in heat. She never reached out again after the baby talk. I never heard from her lawyer. No papers came. No paternity test. No follow-up. I assumed the pregnancy either wasn't real, or the truth wasn't what she wanted to admit. Maybe it was a lie. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was her way of trying to make me care again. It didn't matter. Not anymore. Ryan? Last I heard, he took a sabbatical from work. Burnout, they called it. Code for collapse. He's out of the spotlight now, the spotlight he never learned to survive without. He was always good at looking like a leader, but not at being one, especially without someone else's success to ride on. My parents? We're estranged. They've tried texts on birthdays, vague holiday greetings. Nothing real, nothing brave, no apologies, no acknowledgement, just the kind of weak, polite guilt that people like them call love. I don't reply, not out of cruelty, but because I'm not interested in building bridges with people who set fire to the last one. But I'll tell you what I did do. I rebuilt everything they broke. Not the way it was. Better. I moved across the country. Started over completely. New name on the mailbox. New habits. New friends. I got healthy again in ways that had nothing to do with diet or exercise and everything to do with waking up without dread. The consulting firm? It's thriving. And not just because I'm good at what I do, but because I stopped doing it for validation. I stopped trying to earn love through achievement. I started doing it for the people like me, the ones written off, underestimated, lied to. I became the version of myself I always knew I could be, the one they were always too afraid to let exist. And sometimes, late at night, when the house is still and the only sound is the quiet hum of a life I built alone, I think about what I learned. Not just about betrayal, but about survival. About clarity. About how sometimes losing everyone is exactly how you find yourself. So if you're reading this, if someone's lying to you, cheating you, manipulating your silence, know this: you are not crazy. You are not overreacting. You are not impossible to love. They just weren't capable of giving it. And maybe the best thing that ever happened to you is the moment they revealed it. Because that's not your ending. It's your beginning. That's mine. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.